Welcome back to On Deck Circle Podcast, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. I am your excited host, Nick Zaniboni, over here in the lovely city of Boston, Massachusetts, with my very good friend in the Windy City, Mr. Jason Beckner. Jason, how the heck are you today, buddy? It's been a while. We are back.
Yeah, what's going on, Nick? It's a new year. Baseball's right around the corner, and even though it doesn't feel like it, we got hit with a bunch of snow today, but it's good to be back. It's January. It's time to shake off the winter blues and start thinking about spring. Even though it's January, we are in prime form for baseball to kick off. Draft season will be here before we even know it.
I am ready, and what better way to shake off the cobwebs than to talk about the first-year player draft? But before we get started there, it's my favorite part. I've been sitting for weeks thinking of a question, and here I am. I'm ready. Jason, has there ever been something on the internet that made you try something that you wouldn't normally try if you didn't see it on the internet? It can be a product. It can be a way of living. It could be anything. All right. Ready, set, go.
That work for you?
The music, yeah. It's the first episode for the technology as well, Jason.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You were just jarred by, I think that the technology didn't want us to talk about these theories that we see on the internet or things we buy on the internet. So what do you got?
I mean, there's just endless amounts of things. Something as simple as like a TikTok shop. You buy something off a TikTok shop, or even something more bigger and larger that goes viral, like a ALS bucket challenge. Remember the ALS ice bucket challenge?
Crazy! That was crazy.
I would have never done anything like that. And then you get bullied in by one of your friends to either dump this bucket on your head or donate or both. So yeah, absolutely. There's numerous amount of things that I've seen or done on the internet that I would never normally do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Do you know who Rick Rubin is? Yes.
American Idol?
No, that's Rubin Studdard. Rick Rubin what is a music producer, did like Jay-Z. He's like, you a fool for this one, Rick. That's the 99 Problems, I believe. Eminem, Beastie Boys. If you saw him, you would know who he is. He's also kind of like, it's like in his own little world somewhere, whatever. He said to turn your phone screen red at night so the blue light doesn't like affect your sleep patterns, because like the first thing I do when I wake up at like 3 in the morning, I just like I grab my phone and check it. So now I just have, hold on, that's a weird thing.
How do you even, I didn't know that was even a thing.
My phone at night.
How do you even, I didn't know that was even an option.
Yeah, and what's cool is you can make it a shortcut. Oh, let's get her off there. That's my niece.
Like it's like a setting on, it's like a setting within your
now
phone.
It's like color.
Yeah.
Red.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And when does that start? As soon as the sun sets, you're in red mode?
I just do it. I would say like last night I did it at 8.
Okay.
But my wife was like, you're doing this, but like we have the television on. So I don't know if it helps. I'll let you know on the next episode. But enough with my new sleep trick. It is a great time to talk about some news. And Jason, some of it makes me happy. Some of it makes me sad. Some of it I'm going to argue with you about. So what do we got first, do you think?
Well, I mean, probably the two biggest stories involve our home teams, our home
Yep,
crowds.
I would agree.
Obviously, the biggest news being Bregman going to the Cubs.
Yep.
And then not to be remiss, but the Boston goes out and signs Ranger Suarez today.
Dude, they are very, very lucky that happened today, because today was the first day they spent money on a free agent, and it is January 14th.
I mean, so, Bregman was the first thing the Cubs signed, so
yes,
I can't.
Yes,
I was right there with you guys, being like, that meme with the stick, like poking it, like do something.
Yep.
It's like I know we were just in the NLDS, but it's like we're just gonna run it back with the same team. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Just a quick thing, since this is a fantasy baseball show, I think the Cubs signing Bregman is bad for Alex Bregman, and I would not be targeting him anywhere. And this is not me being a bitter fan that the Red Sox lost him. This is me saying he's going to be fine for the Cubs. He'll be fine. But I think he loses fantasy value in Chicago versus in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have that, like, the green monster in left to play pickle off of there as a right-handed hitter. But also another big news as far as fantasy values go up, and that's any Kansas City Royal hitters. I don't know if you saw the news, but not only is the fence coming in 10 feet from all three outfields, but it's also being lowered, which obviously you could make the argument that maybe it's more robbable home runs, but I mean, just coming in 10 feet all around is also a huge benefit. So look for an increase in power output numbers from, Bobby Witt, Pasquantino, all the likes of the Kansas City Royals here in 2026.
And I think it almost makes me avoid every Royals pitcher except for Cole Reagans.
Yeah. And I'd be curious to see what his what his end of the season numbers look like, and at the end of the year, what his power, our home runs to fly ball ratio looks like at the end of the year. But yeah, a lot of exciting. It took a while to get some things going here. Baseball is so weird about that with the off season. It seems like, they even set up these moments of like winter meetings, GM meetings, and still nothing comes of these things. It seems like most stuff gets done right at the beginning, like November, and then like middle to end of January. That's when stuff happens.
Then just like March.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's still a ton of guys.
Yeah,
you looked at like the free agent tracker. There's still a ton of value out there in the free agent market, and a lot of these guys, like you said, this is weird. It seems like more last few years, it's like spring training starts, and it's like, oh hey, we actually might need a first baseman. We should probably go sign one.
And like really you weird. Will, and like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We will have a show that will talk about all of the offseason, obviously. But those were just some ones that just recently came about, and I thought we should touch on. Because
I know it's we're going to kick off this new year with some fancy first year player draft talk. We're getting to the point where I'm sure if you haven't already, you're getting really close to having your first year player draft. Most dynasty leagues that I'm in do it like February. Early March, normal draft season, but instead of it being a dynasty league, we just do the the first year player draft versus a regular redraft. But so I figure it's a good idea to kick off this new year, new episode with some FYPD talk. We'll go through a couple of the guys here that maybe a couple of some strategy questions right here off the top, and then some rankings, some sleepers, and the one guy that we want to try to leave the draft with the most, or who we're going to have the most shares of in this season's FYPD. But so why don't we kick it off here before we get into some of these actual names and players we're going to talk about? Let's get into maybe some more general and broad topics as far as like some of the draft strategy we might have when it comes to these drafts. And I was thinking about like what, not necessarily strategies, but one thing that's always made my mind boggle at this time of year is the one thing about baseball versus football when you think about like dynasty aspects, right? Like the way it's set up is the worst teams get the first picks, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at baseball, right, like there's going to be those international guys, which are then signed and are going to be right on the MLB level, and they're going to make an immediate impact. So where I think my biggest question is like if you're, let's say, the top 3 pick, right? And you are nowhere near in a win now mode, is it more beneficial to wait on a guy like JoJo Parker, or is it better to go and get like one of those international signees like Tatsuya Imai or something like that? You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that I've always struggled with. I've done it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember a couple years ago, I was like a top 5 pick, and I took Shota Imanaga and paid immediate dividends, but I was not in a position to compete. So it's like it doesn't really pay off the value as it would if you were to get him if you were like late in the round. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it really all depends. Like last year we had Roki. That was kind of, and like his age was like, okay, he's 20, he's in his early 20s. So that like made sense for your typical 1-1 without any trades holding that. They picked Roki just because that seemed to work. Same with Yamamoto a few other years ago. But I think pitchers is kind of where I draw the line. When it comes to these bats, we see a lot of guys come over and they're fine, but like I don't know if we've had like a fully maybe. Well, Suzuki has been great, so I guess that it might be the one exception. But like Yoshida for the Red Sox was fine. Like he's a fine player, but if I picked him in the top 10 of my first year player draft, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of average. The hitters in this year's like Japanese class, I guess you could say, because they all are from Japan.
Yeah.
They're fine. I don't know. I would not pick any of them in the top 10. If I'm picking in the top 10, I'm not picking any of the hitters. I will pick Tatsuya. Excuse me if I'm saying that incorrectly. But
Right.
I'm picking him in the top 5 if I have a top 5 pick and I'm supposed to be a top 5 because he's 27, I think, and that's not like crazy old, not crazy young, but like you're getting something that has value. And realistically, if he overperforms, you might be able to get a lot for him in this season, like at the trade deadline, say, you're like, all right, let's cash in because he pitched so well. But yeah, this is definitely this class in particular. I'm only picking one of the international players that are major league ready in the top 10. Other than that, I don't know. It's so hard because it's so different on a year-to-year basis. And like this year is so volatile. Like all of the people that we're going to talk about today, there is no true home run that like they all could be.
Yep.
There could be 10 Hall of Famers in this first round, but there also could be 10 people that are working at a car dealership. Like it's such a volatile draft. And I think this in particular, especially with something I'm going to talk about later, is very pitcher heavy. And I'm in love with all of the pitchers. I said I'm in love with all the pitchers when we did this post-draft show last spring or summer. So that's kind of where I'm at with when it comes to them. One thing I want to ask you is, in your dynasty leagues, how far away can you trade picks?
It's usually only like 3 years.
Okay. So something I do every year.
Well, that leads into the next topic. So good segue. The next thing I was going to ask you about is like, how do you manage draft picks? As far as like, are you looking to acquire future picks versus like the current year, or talk me through it?
Yeah. So every single year, I go for the picks that just get added. So like in my main league, the picks for 2028 just got added when we renewed the league. I now own 6 first-round picks in 2028.
Nice.
Just because people don't care. It's so far away. Yeah, like I traded Royce Lewis for a guy's full a first, second, third, fourth, fifth in 2028. And I was like, great. fantastic. Take Royce Lewis from me right now. Don't care.
Right.
And then I'm going to trade every one of those picks in the next 3 years. So it's kind of both. For me, I love having a high pick in first-year player drafts. I just traded O'Neal Cruz for the 6th pick in this draft that we're about to talk about today. Also got Kerry Carpenter. He's good. He's fine. Like I'm gonna get the same amount of home runs between Cruz and Carpenter. So I'm interested in who I go with at 6, but ideally someone that we talk about today. But we'll see. How about you? Where are you at on picks?
Yeah, I'm in kind of that range where, like, if I don't have a lot of future assets as far as draft capital, I'm all for trading, especially my middle round picks. Like, give me the top, especially if you're like, let's say the back half of the draft. I don't want the second round, like the 10th pick. Like, that to me is worthless as far as, like, I wouldn't say worthless, but I'd rather trade that and get more flyers or like late round flyers, like trade a 2 for like 2 or 3 threes. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have that ability to grasp onto like straws of like 4 or 5 guys in the later rounds versus one guy in the second round. I just feel like baseball is obviously so subjective, and it's more about getting your guy, right? Or what better way to do that than get a bunch of late round picks? Don't get me wrong. I usually don't ever really trade away my first round pick for other picks unless it's for like maybe like 2 firsts.
Like a trade down and like you get a back, but you're getting a second back.
Yeah, but if someone's really looking to move up, I have no problem trading back and grabbing a couple extras like in the 3rd or 4th or 5th round, just because I have a lot of these guys that like probably may even go undrafted free agents, but like I'd rather have the ability to have them already on my roster versus fighting for fab or like a waiver wire system, whatever your league does. But I really like the late round flyers versus like having like the 210 or the 310. Give me like 4 or 5 picks in the 4th and 5th round versus those picks. That's what I like. And I agree with you. Trading for those picks that just become available, for majority of the time, most owners are going to be like, I don't care about those. If I can get a player that's going to help me win now, or a pick now versus 3 years from now, and then like you said, you can either trade that for value, or when 2028 does come around, you're like, holy shit, I have 6 of the first 8 picks in this draft, and then you can trade it at that point in the offseason. Or draft capital only gains value as it becomes closer, right? Like let's say you're 1-1 back in offseason last year or at the beginning of the year was not as valuable as it is in the next 2 weeks. Your 1-1 right now is the most valuable it'll ever be. And maybe the most valuable it'll ever be is when you're on the clock, actually, versus when the season just ends. So like getting future picks is only going to gain value as time goes on.
Yeah, it's the opposite of buying a car.
Yeah, draft capital actually appreciates instead of depreciates.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
But that was
you're more of a dart throw guy after the first round. Give me 5 dart throws over 2 seconds or whatever.
Exactly. Like I'd rather have a bunch of guys in like the 25 to 50 ranking versus like one guy in like the top 20. Sorry, from like 15 to 20.
Yes. Yeah. Got you. All right. Yeah. I like that rationale.
I also have a weird, depending on your league, like I have this weird rationale, like especially with draft picks, like FYPD. I had this weird like Pokemon obsession of like you got to catch them all, because it's you not only want to get your own guy, but like a lot of these guys, especially like in the middle to late rounds, there's just a straight shot in the dark. And we've seen some of these guys that are drafted like in the 10th round, all of a sudden get into the right landing spot, and then all of a sudden their value goes up. So to me, I'd rather have those dart throws and have that like Pokemon gotta catch them all type mentality versus like one guy at like 22.
I like that. Thank you, Jason. I'm going to use that tomorrow in my first year player draft.
All right, let me know how it goes. Although one thing I will say about this class, we talked about like the international versus like if you're like a top part of the draft. I feel like this class, again, like you said, it's weird. It's very pitcher heavy. So if you need pitching, this is the year to get it. There's a lot of not only international pitchers, but there's also a ton of college pitchers that came out in the very top end of the draft or the MLB draft. So those guys are all ready to get going this year. So yeah, if you need pitching, this is definitely the year to get it. And I think with the hitters being so like, there's not a lot of college hitters that are like super valuable right now. Like a lot of prep hitters in this class. Which again, if you're like in like a rebuild mode, it's very sets up to your favor. Right? Like if you can wait for a guy, it's going to be like awesome in 4 years versus a guy that's going to
Mhm.
contribute on your 10th or 11th place team. It's like, what's the point? At that point, you almost have to trade him away for more draft
Exactly.
capital. So, yeah, I was just curious if you're like a more best player available, or if you're like a strategy versus like what your team is built for.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Let's see. I think that might be it for as far as draft strategy. Unless you had any other points to make on that.
Actually, I have one thing I can point out.
Yeah.
It's you know what? I'm gonna wait because it actually involves someone that we are going to talk about later. So I'll wait.
Okay. Well, let's just jump right in right now to our top 5. Obviously, nothing's more subjective than our FYPD rankings. Much like the MLB draft itself, teams always have objective rankings, as you can tell by the 1-1 in this MLB's draft when it was Eli Willits, who I think was ranked most people's almost outside of the top 10, and then he goes 1-1. So I think we have a lot of similar ones. I didn't update my show notes, but I'm pretty sure after seeing yours, we're very similar. So why don't you go ahead and run down your 5, and then I'll run down my 5. We can kind of discuss some of the players.
Yeah, Jason. But before I go, do you know where I like to make my first year player draft selections on? Like what type of platform?
Where would that be?
Fantrax. It has all of the players at the tips of your fingertips. And what's even better is a lot of these international guys are being signed on the fly. And all you have to do is just send them a message like, hey, can you add Luis Hernandez for the Giants? He just got picked. And then you just put him right on the guy's roster. It's an absolute delight. And do you know what's even better? You can sign up right now for free at fantrax.com/fantasy six-pack. And I'm going to go ahead and say that again. Fantrax.com/fantasy six-pack. Be like Nick Zaniboni and Jason Beckner. I was just reading the Twitter handle. But yeah. Do you use Fantrax, Jason?
I'm pretty sure I play in about 9 leagues, and 7 of them are on Fantrax. The other 2 are on NFBC. So Fantrax is the place to play Dynasty Baseball. The player pool, like I said, the player pool is unmatched. They have guys that aren't even signed to teams yet.
Yeah, crazy.
And a lot of times, the minute before the players are even drafted, like the 2026 MLB draft players are probably already in that player pool. I haven't checked, but wouldn't be shocked from Fantrax if they're already out there now. So the player pool is unmatched. It is the premier place to play Dynasty Baseball. So yeah, get on over to fantrax.com, fantasy six-pack, and sign up for free today.
All right. So I'm going to start off here. If I'm going, there's 2 options here. If you are the bottom of the barrel, your true 1-1, I am not going after the pitcher Tatsuya Imai. If I say that confidently enough, it'll be right. I'm picking pitcher Kade Anderson from the Seattle Mariners. I don't want to say obsessed because that's not true. I'm obsessed with someone else later. Kade Anderson, I think, is going to be on a fast track. I think even if you are that good team that maybe just like maybe you have a lottery and you like won and you like jumped, I think I'm still going Kade Anderson. I love everything about him. We've seen a lot of college arms just get fast tracked, like Skeens, Chase Burns last year, Peyton Tolley last year. There's a lot. So I'm obsessed with Seattle. Hell of a landing spot.
Yep.
Love the pitcher. Love his trajectory. I'm curious to who you had 1-1. I'm assuming it's not Kade Anderson, but you know what? That's okay. Jason, who did you have?
So I really wanted to put Kade Anderson at 1-1 because I feel the same way you do. I am obsessed with Kade Anderson. I loved Kade Anderson before the draft started, and then he goes to Seattle, which is the premier pitching prospect spot to land. But if I'm basing it on like proximity, I'm gonna go Tatsuya Imai just because you're gonna get day one production from him.
Yep.
That's the only reason I have him at 1-1. Otherwise, Kade Anderson would be 1-1. And let's not forget, Houston's no slouch either when it comes to pitching development. I feel like he could end up being a really nice mid rotation fantasy stud. The only thing I have concerns with Amai is the frame. He's just a little guy, man. But we've also seen guys like Roy Oswalt, uh, Lincecum. We've seen these guys that are not the biggest still have some production. So, and like Roy Oswalt's one of the perfect examples because he pitched for Houston for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, Amai's got a little stature on the mound, but I don't think that should shy you away. If you're looking for production, right? Let's say you traded for 1-1 at some point and you're like a win now team, 100% hammer Amai is the 1-1. And that's my 1-1, but I almost had Kade Anderson as my 1-1.
Yeah, so Amai came in as my number 2. I think my only not concern, thing that would annoy me if I am that bad team, you don't want a middle rotation arm. A good team that traded for the pick, sure, that's helpful. But like, if you're 1-1, you're not drafting an offensive guard, and that's just kind of what a mid rotation guy is for me. In this, obviously, it'd be like drafting a catcher, I guess, but like in general, I think I just prefer go down swinging, go reach for the stars. And so that's my number 2. I'm assuming your number 2 is Kade Anderson.
It is not actually.
Oh,
and the only reason I didn't is because I'm not a pitcher guy, especially early on in the draft.
yep.
But I could see
JoJo?
why Kade Anderson could be a number 2. And I would not be, I would never fault anyone for taking Kade Anderson at 1 or 2. I think he's very much, not only is he probably the best pitcher in the draft, he's left-handed on the Seattle Mariners, and he's probably MLB ready. I wouldn't, depending on, they're so deep at the Seattle rotation, though. I don't know where he fits in. I could see him making an appearance at the MLB level in 2026, but I just can't guarantee because they're already so deep at that position. But no, my 1-2 is a little bit of a shocker, and it's more of like a subjective thing. And it's JoJo Parker.
There he is. Nice.
He is my top hitter in this draft. I just really like what I've seen from him. He's still only a prep hitter though. So again, if you're in a rebuild mode, obviously which a 1-2 might be, I just really like the upside for him. Really nice hitter profile, really good quality of contact. Just really liked what I saw even before the draft was, and then before he was taken. And I just really like JoJo. So I'm going to put JoJo Parker as my 1-2.
Yeah, he was. I took him out of my top 5 before the show when I was like, "Hey, did you write down the names?" And then you were like, "No." I was like, "Great." So I took him out. But for my 1-3, I went Seth Hernandez of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Is your top 5 all pitchers?
4 of my top 5 are pitchers. This is, I literally wrote here, home run opportunity, or it sets you back years. So it's an electric arm. Pittsburgh right now, Pittsburgh is having a moment, I believe the kids say, in developing pitchers. We saw Connor Griffin last year come out of nowhere, like not come out of nowhere, but like we're talking like a top 15 dynasty asset at the age of 19. So I'm buying the player, I'm buying the landing spot, and the upside is immense. And honestly, I would argue that I would pick him second if I'm a bad team. But I can't wait to see how this goes because it's either going to be amazing or absolutely dreadful.
Yeah. And then my 1-3 now is Kade Anderson. I'd slide Kade Anderson at my 1-3 there. It's hard for me to get these pitchers at the top of my draft just because pitcher's so volatile. Tin snap, right? There's no such thing as a pitching prospect, especially the top half of a first year player draft. Give me the hitters. But again, Kade Anderson, Imai, and Liam Doyle, those three guys, I could, and even what's the guy? Drawing a blank. The guy that Philly took, Gage, the guy that threw the no hitter,
Gage
Wood.
Yeah,
I could even make a point for him in the top 10 if you're really desperate for pitching. Those three college arms are really, really nice. But I'm going to go Kade Anderson here at 1-3. Love the landing spot, and that's where I am. Again, it's hard to get these pitchers for me to get them into the top 5, but it's hard to argue proximity as well as landing spot over some of these prep hitters, because even these prep hitters, none of them are super guaranteed to be like rock stars. So I'd rather take a college arm that's most likely going to have a good shot at being close proximity in the next year or two.
Yeah. 4 for me was JoJo. Everything that you said, prep hitters honestly scare me more than prep pitchers, just because throwing is throwing.
Yeah.
Hitting is not this. I think hitting's harder to really kind of figure out, but I'm interested in see how he does. I like the landing spot. Probably going to shift over to third base would be my guess. But yeah, everything that you said. I'm glad we really only overlapped on 2. Unless your last one is someone I've already talked about. But
I don't think so. Who's your 1-5?
Oh no, you're 4. Sorry. You're on 4.
My 1-4 is Ethan Holiday.
Good.
Again, going back to the well with the hitters, I really just think I can't get off the pitchers or get on board with the pitchers in the first top 5. And it's hard to argue with the pedigree, right? We've seen a long line here. We've seen Jackson Holiday now finally start to make a little bit of some splashes here. Now his younger brother Ethan gets drafted. It's hard to argue with the pedigree. At 1-5 or 1-4, I mean, I'm gonna ride with Ethan Holiday. I just really like what you could get out of him. And many thought he would be 1-1 in the MLB draft, and he fell. So if anyone was, many people were targeting him as a 1-1, and I'll ride with that as far as some upside pick goes there. 1-4.
Nice. I actually have a developing. So the person I'm about to talk about, I didn't know was born in Boston.
Oh,
maybe I should move him to my 1-1. So my 1-5 is St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Liam Doyle. Born in Boston. Crazy. Had no idea. Went to school in New Hampshire. There's a very good prep school in New Hampshire. But already in AA. So that's sick. And he pitched well. He pitched 2 games.
Yeah.
And it was 3 2/3 of innings, six strikeouts. I think what we could see here, and I know it's lazy because he went to Tennessee, but it could be like a Garrett Crochet type thing where he works out of the bullpen for St. Louis at some point this season, and then next year is fully up, or maybe he's in the. I think we see him start in the bullpen and then becomes a starter at some point in the next 2 years. Love everything about him. High velo, went to in AA. Yeah, he pitched 2 innings in AA. That's crazy. But
it is really shocking that they pitched him, because he went deep in the College World Series. So for them to even give him any innings last year was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I really like him. I think he's going to be someone that I trust Chaim Bloom in drafting, for one, because he's very good at drafting. He's not good at paying people, but very good at drafting. Thank you for Roman Anthony. But yes, so I would argue him anywhere in the top 5. And honestly, I could make my top 5, all 5 pitchers, and take out Joe. Like there's so many pitchers, and
Yeah.
they can't all get hurt. So I'm gonna be right about one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. My 1-5, it was hard to pick one of these guys because I went back to hitters. But you kind of nailed it on the head earlier, like prep pitcher prep hitter versus pitcher, or hitter versus high school versus college. And I went with I wanted to at least honorably mention Eli Willits. If he's there at 1-5, I have no problem with you taking the 1-1 in the MLB draft at the 5th position. Yeah. However, I'm going to go with the more established hitter in Aiva Arquestte. We've seen Oregon State put out, really good hitting prospects over the past couple of years. And I'm going to continue on those lines. The power breakout was really nice this last year for Arquette. And, he's got the nice big frame. Miami Marlins, they could obviously they have a pretty nice track record of developing some of these hitters. And he's the first college bat, I believe, taken. So love that out of that the top 10 pick there. And I'm gonna go with the Aiva Arquette as my top 5, running it out.
All right. We were very different. I was anticipating us to just have the same 5 guys, but no, I'm all pitchers.
I guess I will say this class was very hard to pick a top 5 because I don't really have a true this is the order I think it'll go in. I don't know what I would do. It's all very team dependent or league dependent on who I would take, because I don't think there's any again, we could look back on this class in 10 years and be like, what a class. These guys, there's 6 Hall of Famers in the first round, but there could also be one guy that actually makes fantasy relevancy. So I feel like this class was very subjective, very pitcher heavy. So we'll just see. You have to wait and see how it goes, play it out as is with most baseball prospects. All right, let's throw out going from our top 5 to maybe a guy that we maybe taking you can get later on. Maybe one of those dart throws that I talked about earlier is one of the draft strategies.
I'll go ahead and go first.
Yeah.
We're going to go to 2 old reliables for good old Nick over here. That is Tampa Bay. That's number 1. Number 2, size. 6'5" outfielder, Mr. James Quinn Irons. Dude just mashes the ball. Unsure if it's going to translate, but his exit velocity was averaged 111 miles per hour in college, which is nuts. And a max exit velocity of 116. Again, it's the Rays. He's 6'5". It's just kind of a 6'5", 230. It's just, let's just put him on a platter and just see what happens. I'm betting on the body. I'm betting on the strength. So he's probably going to go in around, depending on your league size, somewhere in the top 50, maybe between the 50, 60, 80 range. So that's my pick. Obviously not going to really talk too much about him because I don't really know him too well, but in general, he's the guy I'm kind of aiming to pick in those middle rounds.
Yeah. That's the best thing about fantasy baseball is you find your guys at the end of these drafts and hopefully that they can turn into some gold, some late round gold. My guy is solely based on upside alone, and that's gonna be Quentin Young of the Minnesota Twins. The name may sound familiar. It's the nephew of Delman Young. So yeah, another pedigree pick for me here. It seems to be you're getting old when a lot of these draft classes include players that we had on our fantasy teams 20 years ago. But huge frame, had a really nice, perfect game prep high school circuit this past season. Stands 6'5", 215, power upside through the roof, similar to his uncle's. Has a lot of good speed potential. He played shortstop at obviously at high school and prep level, but I think ultimately he moves to minimum third base. But I think ultimately he will eventually end up in a corner outfield position, which is no knock on him. I'd be definitely happy with a 30+ corner outfielder that you get like in the 3rd or 4th round of your first year player draft. He does have some swing and miss concerns, but again, that's part of the upside pick, right? There's going to be big upside, big risk. But I think
also 6'5".
Yeah, big dude.
We love the big boys here on the Uncut Circle.
Yeah, give me the big boy love. But yeah, the power is the true calling card. Get a ton of upside. And again, more MLB pedigree with his uncle being Delman Young. So that's my late round pick. I think I don't know. Hopefully his name doesn't get too much helium here in the next couple weeks or months. I think you'd still get him at worst. It'd be like the early, or probably the best would be like the highest I could see him going would be like early 3rd, maybe late 2nd if he gets a little bit of helium. His name starts getting passed around some of these FYPD circles, but that's who I got as my late round pick.
Yeah, his MLB page says 6'6", 225.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's only 18 or 19 or whatever. He's a prep high schooler, so
yeah, that's crazy.
Like 18 or 19.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into him. Thank you for that one.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right, that's gonna do it for the sleepers then, and we give you a sleeper. Now, before we get out of here, real quick, let's give me one guy that is. I need this man in all of my drafts as much as I can. I need to get him wherever I can. Your flag plant player, we'll say.
All right, it's been a whole show. I have not picked a Red Sox player. It's Kyson WItherspoon. Full here. I love the way that the Red Sox have been developing pitching. Whatever they're doing is working, and I'm trusting that process. High velo again. His upside is crazy. I honestly don't know if his low. I mean, I guess any pitcher's downside is like out of the league in 3 years, but like I don't think that's going to happen with him. He just seems to pound the strike zone, which is kind of the only thing you really need to do. I'm interested to see where he gets placed at the beginning of this year. If we see him, I don't think he'll go right to Portland, which is their AA. But I think we see him in Portland by the summer, like July, August. But honestly, another thing that worries me is trading him. So as I stated earlier, I traded for the 6th pick in the draft in my FYPD. I think I'm going to go Witherspoon. It is a slight reach. I think he's probably being mocked around like 10, 12. But one thing I did want to talk about was I'm in a league and you own a team's name. So my team is actually the Red Sox. And you get a discount on Red Sox players for their salaries. So like I have Roman Anthony, sick. I don't have to pay whatever his amount is because I'm the Red Sox. I held the 3rd pick in that draft the other day. I picked Kyson WItherspoon just because like I was like, yes, it's a slight overdraft, but if he's what I think he is this will be worth it. I did try and trade down a bit. I was like, I can move down to 6, but everyone knew exactly why I wanted to trade down. So I just picked him at 3. I'm interested to see how it ultimately goes. None of the Japanese players were eligible, so they just go right to Fab. So I guess it's not too crazy. He's probably more of like a top 8 pick in that type of format. But yeah, he's someone I'm super high on, pumped to see how it goes. Hopefully I don't get screwed. We'll see.
This one was hard for me to determine just because I couldn't figure out. There's a couple guys that I'm like, I could fit this keyhole for this topic. But I think ultimately, like I really wanted to go with JoJo Parker, but I feel like I have him as my 1-2 basically. So like, what's how are you gonna flag plant somebody that's getting drafted in the top 5? So I ultimately went with Murakami of the White Sox.
Okay,
one of the international guys that maybe a little bit of an afterthought. I was gonna put him as a sleeper, but I don't know how much he's gonna sleep because he still is an international guy with a lot of pedigree. He comes back over from Japan. This is a guy that's hit he's got, let's see, about 5 seasons of 30+ home runs. He even had a season where he had 56 home runs. I think that's the NPB, or Japanese League home run record. Definitely curious to see how that translates to the MLB. Sometimes the Japanese guys come over and they kind of struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Hitters less than pitchers, but I think he might get a little bit of I might see him fall a little bit in the draft just because of the landing spot of the White Sox. But the White Sox have been might surprise some people this year. They did a really nice second half last year.
I think they're going to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they made some nice random, just like cheap on the slide signings. And Murakami right now is slated to be, whether they put Vargas or him at first or third, he's going to be on the opening day roster. And the White Sox Stadium, especially during the summer months, leads to a lot of offensive output. The power's there. So give me the upside of Murakami as a guy that I could see falling in draft. Now, if he starts getting inflated and he's going inside probably, let's say, the top 8 or 10, I might be out on him. But if he continues to kind of slide a little bit, especially in like to the end of the first or early second, give me Murakami as my flag plant guy. I think you're gonna start to see immediate results here. And some of those guys around him in that lineup can help give a little protection, right? Like Vargas had a really good last year. Colson Montgomery came up and had an insane home run record there.
They're really building something, yeah.
Yeah, so I could see them, him coming in there and not having to be that dependent guy on a team like the White Sox. So yeah. I'll go with Murakami as my flag plant. I did want to go JoJo, but it's hard to go JoJo as he's already my 1-2. So
yeah,
hard to flag plant somebody that's at 1-2.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jason,
that's the show.
That's indeed the show. Want a quick prediction from you? Bears going to make the Super Bowl?
No.
Will they beat the Rams?
That they might. I think so. Get this. They just beat the Rams in 2024 in like September. Granted, it's a different year, but we also had Eberflus last year. Now we have Ben Johnson. But I don't know, man. Every week I'm like, the Bears are not going to win. And then all of a sudden, then they win. It's been happening every week almost all year long. Yeah. Every week I'm like, they're definitely going to lose this week. All of a sudden, it's the clock, hits zeros and the Bears are winning somehow. So I got to keep riding the Bears until they prove me wrong. So yeah, I think they're going to win. I don't know. I don't know if they Super Bowl. That would be kind of sick. That would be like a repeat of 85-86.
Yeah. I just don't know. The Bears just seem like the team. I don't want to call them a team of destiny because that's over. But like they just feel like the wrong team to face right now. And honestly, I feel the same way about the Texans.
I know.
Crap on me.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we're still happy next week. But if not, good luck.
Yep. You too.
I will see you next week. All right, bud.
Sounds good, man.
All right, see you.